kids. Like, I get a lot of cases where the moms will not allow the dads to see their kids. Like, they're supposed to see them, first, third, fifth weekends of the month, basically every other weekend, and they'll withhold them. And dads get mad and say, well, she's not following the order. This is my weekend, and when I go to pick them up, she won't, she's not releasing the kids to me. So that's an enforcement action, because you're asking the court to enforce the order that's in place and, make her turn the kids over. So right. I see a lot of that.
I always wonder why moms don't let fathers see their kids.
It's...
And I feel like fathers are so important in children's lives.
You know what? And I agree. I represent a lot of men. And I usually see where, like, you know how people say, like, bitter baby mama? That's a real thing. It's a real thing. These men will move on. They'll get married, or they'll have another relationship, or move on, have another kid with someone. And somehow, like the baby moms, they get so triggered and they're so mad. And when you go to court, you realize, like, you don't really have a reason. It's not like dad is a bad dad, or dad has put the kid in some, significant harm or impaired them in any way. You just don't want him to see the kids. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. I never understood that.
And they will fight tooth and nail.
They will. Or some of them, most of them, once they get served and they see that dad has hired an attorney and we're going to court and you're going to have to tell the judge why, then they start acting right. So a lot of times, they don't even want to go through with it. They're like, okay, can we work this out? But you're right. Dads are important. And a lot of times what people don't understand is, under the law, child support and visitation are two separate things. Even if you have a guy that's not paying child support, you still have to let him see the kids. If he's not paying child support, then you do the same thing. You file an enforcement and you force the court to make him pay child support. And a lot of times the first step is the court will put him on what we call community supervision, which is probation. Mm-hmm. Right? Then if he still doesn't pay, you can file a motion to revoke that and the court will put him in jail. I've done it before. So there are remedies. You can't resort to, like self-help. Like, you're not paying child support, so you don't get to see the kid. It doesn't work like that.
Right. So welcome to another episode of the Our Change Podcast. And as y'all know, every episode, you never think the same, you never move the same, you never work the same, because you will be inspired by the information you will get. So today is no different. We have business people have went out and built businesses, and today we are going to interview Miss Poyser. Mm-hmm. How you doing? Did I say it correct?
You said it's Poyser, yes.
Poyser.
Yes.
Okay, good, good, good. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing well.
Yes.
I heard you talking to me earlier, and I kind of caught an accent. Mm-hmm.
I'm Jamaican.
Okay.
Yes.
I know I heard it somewhere, and I'm from the Bahamas.
Oh, okay, nice. I was born and raised in Jamaica as well.
What part of Jamaica?
I was born in Kingston and raised in Mandeville.
Wow, one of my best friends from Mandeville.
Really?
Yeah,
nice.
That's where he's from. Yep.
Yes.
So a Gaza or a Gully?
I don't know. Gaza, maybe.
Say less. Mm-hmm. So you are. First question. Mm-hmm. If you were to walk into a room, right? No, sorry. If you were to get invited to a networking event, right? And it's your time to speak, right? Mm-hmm. And they hand you the microphone. How do you introduce yourself and your business and tell people what it is that you do?
So my name is Sharlene Poyser. I'm an attorney at law. I have my own law firm, the Poyser Law Firm, where we specialize in family law and civil litigation.
Family law and civil litigation.
Yes.
What's the difference between the two?
So family law is civil law, but my civil practice is broken down into the non-family matters, right? So breach of contract, breach of fiduciary duty, breach of contract. So let's just say you enter into a contract with someone and they somehow breach. They were supposed to pay, they were supposed to perform, and they didn't, right? That's breach of contract. Breach of fiduciary duty. If you enter into
You're saying that so fast.
Oh, I am? I'm sorry. Fiduciary duty.
Fiduciary duty.
Yes.
What is that?
So let's just say there are two parties, right? And one party was supposed to perform with the other person's, like we have a partnership and you're responsible for the money, right? and you're supposed to do certain things per or partnership agreement, and you don't do that. You breach your fiduciary duty that you have to me and to the business.
Got you. So where do you come in with that?
Well, when one party is mad and they want to sue the other party. Yes.
Gotcha. So family and civil litigation.
Yes. So the family practice is divorces, right? Custody battles, enforcements, like the parties already have a court order and one person is not compliant with that order. So you would have to file like an enforcement action.
Got you.
Or modification. You got divorced, it's 7 years, the kids are older, that order is just not workable, so you need to modify it, right? Or there's child support issues. You're not making the same or you're making more, you need to modify it. Then there's adoptions, termination of parental rights, CPS issues.
This is so many layers.
So many different avenues of family law. Yes.
Which one do you enjoy most?
I enjoy it all. Family law is my passion. It gotta be one of them you enjoy most. I think I like a good, highly contested divorce. It's challenging, especially if if the community estate is large. You have to break it down. You got to look at numbers, things like that.
Divorce.
So that was.
Are you married?
Not yet. No.
Not yet. Gotcha. How did you get into all of this? Where did it start?
My family practice, or just the practice of law?
Just the practice of law. Like what made? At what point? Or did you know? Just let me know, like from the beginning. Like this, when did the whole law thing become an idea for you?
So I've always wanted to be a lawyer. Like growing up as a little kid, I always used to say that I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer.
Was you around a family of lawyers?
No, I am the first attorney in my family for I don't know how many generations that we have, but I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I was one of those little kids that on the report card it was like talks too much in class. Always. I enjoy like reading, writing, talking, figuring things out. So that's always, there was no other career that I ever wanted, right? So my path to get here was just a little bit different. So before law school, I actually have a master's degree. I have an MBA with a specialization in technology management. I work for Sprint Corporate Wireline, where we designed and managed circuits.
You currently do that?
No. I did that before law school. I was like, okay, I think I can do this. And then, it was always like, this is not where you're supposed to be.
Right.
Go to school. I had my daughter, and I started my master's program when she was 6 months old.
How old were you when you had your daughter?
I have to say that because then they're going to calculate my age.
You don't have to. Look,
no.
It's my job to ask questions. Whichever one you feel free to answer it.
So I was in my 20s when I had my daughter.
Got you.
And then I went back and did my master's because I was like, okay, I'm already, working at Sprint. Let me see if I can advance in that area. And then I just was never fulfilled. It was always like, go to law school. You're supposed to be in law school. So I saved up all my vacation time and I took the 2 or 3 weeks off. I can't even remember at this point. And I went to a local library and I bought the big Kaplan LSAT book and I just prepped for the LSAT.
LSAT, what is that?
The LSAT is the law school exam.
Right.
So I prepped. I took my vacation from Sprint and just sat in the library every day and just prepped for the LSAT. I took the LSAT. I ended up applying to all these law schools. I got into a few of them, and I decided to come to Texas. I decided to come to Texas.
From where?
So I was living in Atlanta at the time.
Got you.
And I decided to come to Texas because my mom had kidney failure and she was on dialysis. And it was very difficult for her to get on the transplant list in Georgia. And after doing some research in Texas, their medical was a lot better. And her chances of getting on the list to get a kidney would be far greater here.
Right.
So I accepted, the offer from Texas Southern, Thurgood Marshall School of Law. And I moved here. I drove here on a Saturday and started school on Monday. Then I flew my mom and my daughter back after like 2 weeks, found a place, and the rest is history. And I graduated law school in May of 2015, and my mom got her kidney February of 2015.
Wow.
So she was able to watch me walk across the stage with her new kidney. So it was like a full circle moment. It made it all worth it.
What was that moment like?
It was surreal. Walking across the stage or watching,
Both. Well, let's start with your mom first. What was that like seeing your mom go through that?
Oh, it was gut-wrenching. It was heartbreaking, you know.
I don't mean to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
I've seen shows or movies where the parent doesn't tell the kid what's going on until like it's almost noticeable, like, okay, something's going wrong. Did she tell you initially, or was it a thing like you could see something that's going on with her, you're like, Mama, tell me what's going on?
So my mom was diagnosed with lupus when I was like 14. So for most of my life, she has had an illness. And I think that kind of forced me to grow up and be a little bit more mature. Like, I only know how to be responsible. I don't know how to be careless and reckless and carefree because I've always had, you know, responsibility. I have a younger brother, and when my mom first came down with lupus, she was just not able to function. So I had to step up. I learned to drive early, learned to take my little brother to school, and just kind of like stepped into that role. So it's, you know, the lupus caused the kidney failure. So it was like a gradual process. So I watched that process unfold. There was a year where I went home to visit her, and I could just tell she was at death's door. So me and my aunt, her sister, we flew her to Atlanta, and straight off the plane, she went to the emergency room, and she was in a hospital for like a good 6 weeks. And I remember the doctor, I feel like I'm going to cry, but I remember the doctor coming in the room and saying, well, her body's so toxic that we don't know. So you should call the family. And
what does that mean, we don't know?
They weren't sure if there was anything they could do for her at that point.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I've just been through so much with my mom, you know, just watching her, you know, just be strong through everything. She never gave up. She would always say, when I get my kidney. It was never, I hope I get my kidney one day. No, she's always like, oh, when I get my kidney. And I used to think, wow, she's so positive about this. You know, she just putting all her faith in God. And she, you know, I guess she manifested that kidney. She got the kidney of a 19-year-old.
This is so much, like, it's so much I could pull from this right now. So much I could pull from it. But the one thing that's keep ringing in my mind is the power of words, because she didn't say hope.
No, she would never say that. She would always say, when I get my kidney. She was so clear about that all the time. Even when she was in the hospital. We've spent Thanksgiving in the hospital. There was one Thanksgiving where I had to cook the food and bring it to her, and just her and I sat in the hospital and ate Thanksgiving dinner. And she would say, you know what, Shar, when I get my kidney, Thanksgiving's going to be so good. I'm going to cook for you. Yeah. She would always say that, when I get my kidney. I was in school when she called and was like, they called me for my kidney. She was actually at the doctor's office in the medical center when they called her. So she literally was at an appointment, and she walked across the street to go get her kidney surgery.
It don't get no better than that.
It's God. It's God. She was there. And I was in class. She kept calling me, and I stepped outside. I'm like, are you okay? Okay, what's going on? She's like, oh my God, they called me for my kidney. I'm like, they what? And then I ended up, after her transplant, it was my last semester of law school, and I had to drop out of a couple classes to kind of help her.
Right.
And I remember I dropped out of oil and gas. I couldn't go to that class. And a really good classmate of mine during bar study came to my apartment on a Sunday and taught me oil and gas from beginning to end.
Wow.
So yeah, so I've definitely, you know, gone through it.
How's your mom doing now?
Oh, she's in Jamaica with my dad, living life.
Wow.
She comes back and forth, and she's with her husband, honey. They WhatsApp call me all the time. They're in the garden. They're at the beach. They're drinking coffee. They're good.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Truly amazing.
That's amazing. How does your mom resilience play a part in your everyday life now?
Because I tell myself, if she can go through that and never lose hope, do dialysis 3 times a week for I can't even remember how many hours at a time, and still come through all this, then these challenges I have, of course.
They lightweight compared to
lightweight. I always tell myself, well, you know, if my mom can do it, I can power through some things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. So you went to law school.
I did.
And after that, did you start your own practice?
No, I worked for a firm for a year, and I hated it. I felt like they took advantage of my labor. They covered the whole state of Texas, so I was on a plane all the time for very little money, and the expectations were so ridiculous. Because if I had like a
let's talk about
Sorry.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about it. Yeah.
So you said you felt as if they took advantage of your labor.
Yeah.
Let's touch on that. What do you mean?
I mean, my annual salary was very low.
What was the annual salary?
Well, I can tell you because I don't work anymore, but it was like $50,000. Like
$50,000.
And here I was, a lawyer with a master's degree, and you paying me less than the job I had before I started law school. And it was just too much. I mean, if I had a hearing in Dallas, I would have to catch a 6 a.m. flight. So, you got to be up by 4 to get dressed, be at the airport, be on the plane. And then he would expect, you get done at 2, you fly back, you get here at 4. And his expectation would be to come back to the office and work till 7. But you're forgetting that I've been up since like 4.
Right.
My brain is dead at that point, It was a lot of micromanagement. You'd have to sit in his office once a month and literally open up the software and go through all the notes you made and explain to him. And it was like, that's a lot. I had over 100 cases. I mean, it was just not it was not good for me.
At what point did you start to realize, okay, this is, I'm overworking and underpaid?
Well, when I had certain goals for myself, and I remember I kept working diligently because he said at the end of the year, that's when you get like a Christmas bonus. So I was like, oh, okay, great. I'm just going to get this big lump sum. It's all going to be worth it. And I'll never forget, I quit on December 19th because he called me in his office and he was like, basically like, yeah, about that bonus. Yeah, it's not happening. I know there's a conflict. And I just went to my office. I called my mom and I'm like, I'm quitting this job. And I remember taking my diploma and stuff off the wall.
That same day?
Same day. He told me there was no money. I'm like, hell nah. It's a few days before Christmas. I'm counting on this bonus. You've led me to believe that there was going to be a bonus at the end of the year. I've worked hard. I've done everything, and there's no money. So I quit, and I only had, I don't even know, probably like $300-$400 in my bank account, and I quit. And I told myself that was the last Christmas I was going to be broke.
Wait. So this part of the story is important because I've learned that you never quit without knowing where you're going to go to next.
No.
Or have something that's lined up.
I'm not like that. I'm very clear in my mind. And I will jump and not know if there's something to land on. That's just my personality. I don't care. I'm going to take, because in my mind, how my mind works is anything is better than this. And having nothing to go to is better than this. Because in my mind, this is nothing to go to. It's a few days before Christmas, and I still have no money.
I gotta challenge you on this one.
Sure.
I gotta challenge you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you should quit a job without having something that's lined up.
And that's fine. That's fine. But for me and how I operate, I'ma quit. And then not knowing that there's something lined up forces me to be even more. I just told myself, like, this is the last Christmas. I said, you're going to be sad this Christmas season, but come January 1st, you need to figure it out. And that's what I did.
So how you paid your bills all the way through?
My dad, he helped me. He helped me that month. I mean.
And that's what parents are there for.
Yeah. He helped me. He helped me get through the holidays. He helped me with January's rent. At that time, I had like a small 2-bedroom apartment. Yeah.
Got you. Mm-hmm. Okay, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
But I didn't quit thinking, oh, I'm going to call my dad. I just quit thinking, you know what, screw this. I'm done with this.
And from there, how did you transition into your own practice?
So,
did that come immediately after?
I started setting it up immediately after. So I had a friend that was working at another law firm that wanted like a contract attorney. So I did that. And while I was there every day, which is, I shouldn't be saying this, but while I was there every day, I was working on the Poyser Law Firm. I developed my logo. I put together my website. I leased a satellite office. I started just putting it together. And I started putting myself out there. And I think when I got 2 clients is when I left that job.
Were you at his job learning his systems?
Yes. So
putting it in place for you?
Yeah, that law firm I was at, I was the only female attorney and I was only one of 2 black people. So the one thing that I did learn was how to bill. Because he was so big on billing. So I learned how to bill. I learned how he used like his billing software. I learned how he wanted the notes, how to properly take notes in the file. It was a completely different area of law, but I learned the money side of things. I'm like,
because that part of it translates to any business.
Translates to any business, yeah.
Now, is that an ethical thing to do?
What?
To work at someone practice and
to learn?
To take all of their, well, I guess learn the systems, learn all that, and then go build a business, the same kind of business they have.
Yeah, that is ethical because you're supposed to learn every step of the way. I didn't take his software or take any privileged information or take clients because I branched off in a totally different area of law.
Got you.
What I took with me was the on-the-job experience that I learned. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So with 2 clients, you just went.
I did. I charged 2 big retainers, and I was like, "Yep, here we go." And then from that, it just kept on going. And then on my journey, one of the first cases I took was a bankruptcy case. I knew nothing about bankruptcy, and I called a friend, and I was like, "Hey, I need a bankruptcy mentor." And she referred me to who is now a great friend of mine. His name is James Pope. Shout out, James. James became my mentor. And he helped me. He put me in contact with other people that became long-term clients of mine.
Right.
And from there, it just took off.
Got you. I need you to explain to me, like, what's a retainer fee? Because I'm from the Bahamas, and I am in the process of getting my residency right now.
Okay.
Right? And my attorney, I think we paid a $20,000 retainer fee. And it's like now he's charging me more money. I'm like, I just
gave you so much.
Right. Like, what is this?
So the retainer fee is the fee that attorneys charge to retain them to represent you. That's what it is. So I bill from my retainer. So I have an hourly rate, and you're basically paying me in advance for so many hours. So once you've exhausted that, you have to replenish your retainer. Once I've done all those hours that you've prepaid for, you've got to pay me again because the case isn't over.
So basically, the $20,000 I put up, that is for the hours that he already used up.
Well, there's some attorneys that bill on a flat fee.
Right.
Okay. So they may say, hey, the retainer, the attorney's fees for everything is the $20,000. But clearly, if he's asking you again, he may have a billable. Does he have billable hours? Is he billing you a certain amount per hour?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. So he probably has done all those hours worth of work and is saying, okay, well, your retainer's running low. I've done all this work. You got to replenish it.
Got you. Okay. Because in my head, I'm like, man,
I just paid so much.
I got a bill for $160-something. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Please explain to me. And she was just like, basically what you just told me.
Yeah.
She said it to me, but I still needed some more clarity.
That's fine. But I give my clients a very detailed invoice so they can see where their hours went to.
Right. Got you. Okay. So let's dig into this business structure.
Sure.
And I know it's different departments within this. So while you was building it out, like which department you started building first?
So it was important for me to have like my website, my business cards, and I couldn't afford an actual like lease space. So I did like a satellite office where you pay like a small amount, then you can go in, use the office, you know, things like that. So I did that for a while. Once I got enough clients, then I office shared with two guys, 2 criminal lawyers, and it was great. It was a great experience. We all got along. We shared an assistant. It was great. And then the more my practice grew, I'm like, I need my own space. I don't want to be in a suite, office sharing anymore.
Right.
And then found my lovely downtown space.
Finding your lovely downtown space. On the family side of things, right? What cases do you run across most?
A lot of divorces and a lot of modifications, for sure. Divorces, modifications, and enforcements.
What's enforcement?
An enforcement is when there's an order in place and one party is not compliant. Like, I get a lot of cases where the moms will not allow the dads to see their kids. Like, they're supposed to see them, first, third, fifth weekends of the month, basically every other weekend, and they'll withhold them. And dads get mad and say, well, she's not following the order. This is my weekend. And when I go to pick them up, she won't, she's not releasing the kids to me. So that's an enforcement action because you're asking the court to enforce the order that's in place and, make her turn the kids over. So
Right.
I see a lot of that.
I always wonder why moms don't let fathers see their kids.
It's...
And I feel like fathers are so important in children's lives.
You know what? And I agree. I represent a lot of men. And I usually see where, like, you know how people say, like, bitter baby mama? That's a real thing. It's a real thing. These men will move on. They'll get married, or they'll have another relationship, or move on, have another kid with someone. And somehow, like the baby moms, they get so triggered and they're so mad. And when you go to court, you realize, like, you don't really have a reason. It's not like dad is a bad dad, or dad has put the kid in some, significant harm or impaired them in any way. You just don't want him to see the kids. It's the weirdest thing.
Weirdest thing.
It's the weirdest thing. I never understood that.
And they will fight tooth and nail.
They will, or some of them, most of them, once they get served and they see that dad has hired an attorney and we're going to court and you're going to have to tell the judge why, then they start acting right. So a lot of times, they don't even want to go through with it. They're like, okay, can we work this out? But you're right. Dads are important. And a lot of times what people don't understand is under the law, child support and visitation are two separate things. Even if you have a guy that's not paying child support, you still have to let him see the kids. If he's not paying child support, then you do the same thing. You file an enforcement and you force the court to make him pay child support. And a lot of times the first step is the court will put him on what we call community supervision, which is probation. Mm-hmm. Right? And then if he still doesn't pay, you can file a motion to revoke that and the court will put him in jail. I've done it before. So there are remedies. You can't resort to, like self-help. Like, you're not paying child support, so you don't get to see the kid. It doesn't work like that.
Right. All this stuff has so many layers to it.
So many layers, yeah.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
But that's amazing, though, that you know all of this stuff so good.
So when I opened my own firm, I did not want to be a lawyer that dibbles and dabbles in everything. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have one lane and to, advance my skills and to become the best version of the lawyer that can specialize in that lane. So I've always loved family law and helping families. So I just decided I don't want to be, like what we call a rent lawyer. They take any type of case to pay the rent. No, this is my area of specialty.
What do they say? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Exactly. No, I did not want to be a jack of all trades.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Specialize in one thing.
Just one thing.
And I hear that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. Just focus on this one thing. One thing. And people all over the world are going to come search for you because you mastered that one thing.
One thing. I have really good friends. One in particular, his name is Joseph Plumbar, Jojo. And he believes in me. He supports my business. He refers his friends, his clients to me. And he's been so instrumental in building me up as an attorney. We inspire each other. Shout out, Jojo. We inspire each other. He pours into me. He pours into my firm. And, he's in his own lane. And I've always loved that about him. He's in his own lane. He does personal injury. And in the same fashion that he has no desire to do family, I have no desire to do personal injury.
Right.
And when I get those clients, I send them right over to him.
Right.
And, I think in building any practice or in building anything in life, you have to have a circle of friends that believe in you and strengthen you and pour into you. Because, no man's an island.
And how do you find those type of friends? Because some people always blame it on friends that don't support them or friends that they don't inspire them. How do you find them type of friends?
Well, for me, I'm myself. And the people that are for me gravitate towards me. And if they're not, I just don't worry about it.
It's that simple.
It's that simple. I'm going to show up as Sharlene every day. I'm not going to be Sharlene that can get along with this person or Sharlene that thinks she needs to do and say and act like this to be in that group. No, I'm going to be Sharlene. And that is my power. I show up as Sharlene every day.
Every day.
Every day. Every day. I don't know how not to be Sharlene. And Sharlene is too much for some people and too little for others. And the people that I'm the right amount of everything for gravitate towards me. And I hold those people near and dear. And that's how I wake up and do it every day.
And that's how you run your race.
And that's how even the way I practice law with my heart. Yes, I want to make money. But when you come in here and you talk to me and you tell me what your problems are, I take that personally. And I'm going to fight to get you the results that you want. I'm not just going to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. No, it's going to be like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
You know what? While we're here too, I just had a thought in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to tell when a client is lying to
All
you?
the time. All the time. And I tell them, if I don't believe you, a judge is not going to believe you. And if we have to have a jury trial, they sure as hell ain't going to believe you. So I always tell them, we have attorney-client privilege. I cannot help you if you don't tell me the truth.
And I could understand why. Well,
yeah.
It's never no reason to lie. I feel like honesty is always the best policy.
Mm-mm.
But
when you start practicing law, you realize if they ain't lying, you get to court sometimes, and when testimony comes out or evidence comes out, you're like, we never discussed this. Why didn't you tell me?
Right.
So they lie all the time.
And how do you navigate that?
Well,
how do you break that barrier to make it feel like, okay, you can tell me the truth?
I shoot them straight. I look them in their face and I'm like, I don't believe you. And if I don't believe you, I can't represent you wholeheartedly. And I can't tell your story or shape your story in a way where the judge will believe it either. So what we going to do?
And that's where the ice breaks and they come out and tell you.
Yeah, and then they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, attorney. Well, maybe. And sometimes it's not as bad as they think, because lay people understand the law in a different way from actual attorneys. So what you think is legally significant may not be legally significant. So you lying to me for no reason, because really a court is not going to care about what you lying about. But we have to establish trust in the same way that you have to trust me that I'm going to do the job and represent you and do everything I'm supposed to. Your only job is to tell me the truth, and I tell them that all the time. You ain't got to lie to me.
I just wanted to know that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that could probably be a hard thing to navigate.
It is hard. It is hard. And it's hard when the other side, the opposing party, gives you evidence that you had no knowledge of. That's very hard. You have to think quick on your feet. You got to ask for a minute. Sometimes if it's your hearing, you're like, well, judge, I want to request a reset. So it just depends. And then you have to show them, like, you're wasting your money. You're wasting your money. Because if you're going to pay me and then lie to me, it's a waste of your money. And when I break it down to them like that, then they get it. Like, I can't.
Sense.
Yeah,
Right.
like, you're going to pay me thousands of dollars in a retainer fee. Then you're going to lie to me in a way I can't help you. You're wasting your money.
So what's the retainer fee?
So that varies. I will say most retainers are 5 figures.
5 figures?
Mm-hmm.
No.
You just said you paid $20,000. That's 5 figures, right?
That is 5 figures.
Okay.
Why so high?
It depends. If it is litigation, then those hours go by really fast. Preparing, filing pleadings. If it's Harris County.
What's your hourly rate?
It varies.
What varies on what?
So my hourly, it's for our field, what's customary is anywhere from $3.75 to even $5.50 an hour. So I'm in that range. The hours go by quickly. If you're in Harris County that requires mediation prior to a temporary orders hearing or a final trial.
All of that is like a whole nother language.
So mediation is it's like arbitration, right? So both
and
parties.
What is arbitration?
So it's the process like an informal settlement conference, right? Where both parties show up, and there's a totally neutral party, the mediator, who's facilitating the agreements going back and forth. So both sides are saying, okay, this is what I want. No, this is what I want. Okay, I can agree on this. I can agree on that. That's usually cheaper, right? And in that setting, both parties kind of can control their outcome, right? Because they're negotiating.
Right.
When you go to court, you don't know what you're going to get, right? Because you have a judge who's just going to make a ruling. You have no control over that. Mediation still gives you a certain amount of control. So most of these cases, they tend to settle at mediation.
Got you. Okay.
But mediation can be an all-day process. It can be a 4-hour process. It's required before, some type of temporary orders or some type of final order. So, yeah, the retainers, it depends. If there's a lot of litigation, then it goes by quickly.
Makes sense. How do you structure your prices?
The level of difficulty involved.
How do you measure level of difficulty?
You can tell if it's a high conflict case. If it's a case where...
So what would be an example of a high...
A divorce where they don't agree to anything. They both want the kids. They both want the house. They both don't get along. They're both hiding assets. High conflict.
And those are cases that...
You're going to have to pay. Yeah, that's a lot of fighting.
A case like that, how much is that?
I mean, a divorce can go, it depends on how rich the parties are and how long they want to fight. I've seen people pay $80,000, $90,000 for a divorce. And then there are other people, you can get their divorce done for $10,000 if they agree on everything.
When you say I've seen, you talking about someone else paying another lawyer, or you talking about you?
It could be a mixture of both.
You just can't give me an answer?
So here's the thing, compensation, how I bill, my billing, how much I make, those are all very personal things, right? And private things. I will say that I do very, very well for myself. I make plenty, I do well for myself.
Well, it's relative. It's subjective.
It's subjective. I make plenty 6 figures.
Plenty 6 figures.
Plenty 6 figures.
Gotcha.
And part of me and who I am as a person is remaining humble and not putting that out there like that, so.
I got to challenge you on that.
Really?
Yes.
Tell me.
You think putting that number out there is a sign of not being humble?
Not necessarily. I know some people are inspired by it, and some people, for me, I'm just more low key with things like that,
And you have every right to be.
Yeah,
I ain't mad at you.
just more low key. Yeah,
I ain't mad at you. I totally get it. But I just wanted to know, how does that relate to where not putting the number out there could be a sign of not being humble?
For me, I don't want people to associate me with a number.
Got you.
You know what I mean? I'm very comfortable with where I am. My practice is thriving. I'm confident in the level of representation I give to my clients. I'm confident in my abilities as an attorney. So I don't feel the need to be like, I make $500,000 a year. That's, to me, that's not necessary, or to put a number out there.
Got you.
I'm more than a number.
But can't everything's on the internet, so if someone really wants to know, they could just Google your firm, Google your name, huh?
I don't know if it works like that for attorneys, but
I got you. It's just my job to ask you questions.
Sure,
you are entitled to answer them however you want to. However you want to.
Yes.
I want to know about...
What I will say is, I have the lifestyle that I want and I enjoy. I have the house that I wanted, that I built, and everything in there is what I wanted. I have the cars that I want to drive. I wear the clothes, the shoes, the jewelry. I have what I want. And I've created a lifestyle that I truly enjoy, and that I'm able to do everything that I want to do, not the things that I can, or try to make it work, or try to function within a budget or whatever. No, I do exactly what I want to do. And practicing law and having my firm has given me that financial freedom. So that is what I will say.
I don't even know what to say.
That is what I will say, yes.
And I'm happy for you. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
That's amazing. That you achieved that level of success. And I had a question for you.
Sure.
Let's talk about a time that a case went. Like, what was the most difficult case you had dealt with before? You don't have to give no names, but like just
well,
give me
I
like
can't. So-
like a case that was just like this one really worked you.
Well, it worked me in a way that was really, really sad. I had done an adoption, and it was just, when we went to court, the judge thought it was so beautiful. I remember she took a picture and posted it on Facebook, and this little girl was with her adoptive mom, and the adoptive mom loved her, and she, had done so well with this little girl. The court granted the adoption, and shortly after, the little girl killed herself.
Wow.
And it has haunted me. It has just haunted me. And I remember the amicus attorney that the court appointed on the case, we just sat on the phone and we just kind of cried. We're like, did we miss something? So that's one case that, I don't know if you meant it that way, but it was very difficult to get kind of over that.
Well, I didn't mean it that way, but that was still a beautiful story.
Mm-hmm.
I meant more so like the client, like if difficult, maybe the client didn't feel like you got done what they wanted to get done. Like you see on movies, the client and lawyer arguing, they're going back and forth, or just stuff like that.
I have had that before. I try, one of the things that I realize that clients they like for their lawyers to be accessible to them. They don't like to call and you won't call them back or feel like they can't get you. So I've always tried to maintain that communication with them, and then that builds the trust. So I don't have too many instances of where my clients are like not happy or mad at me for not doing something, when I felt like I wasn't able. Earlier this year, I had a client that was referred to me by a very close friend of mine, and I just could not make this guy happy. I worked out what I thought was a fantastic deal for him. He didn't want it. He was doing other things. He was complaining. Like, he was literally, I guess, going to my friends and, like, making it seem like I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. Like, I just could not make him happy, so I fired him as a client.
Had to let him go.
Yeah.
If I'm not making you happy, we have no use for each other.
No, we don't. And, I've worked really hard to build my name, build my firm, build my reputation, especially among my friends that refer me business. You're not going to destroy it because you're just not,
right.
No one can please you.
And I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be a good fit for everyone.
Right.
And, some clients need a lot of cuddling. They want you to be like a counselor. They want to call and tell you and cry, and and it's like, I'm going to be here for you and I'm going to support you, but you hired me to advocate for you. If you need a therapist, then I can refer you to someone, but I don't have it in me to be emotional about all these cases I have.
Right.
And take on your emotional burden. I'm taking on your legal burden. Right? So you have to be somewhat responsible for your emotions and how you heal and what you need to get through this difficult time. Of course, I give all my clients grace because I literally meet people at their worst. Going through a divorce is terrible. That's at your worst. That's, it's like a failure. People are sad. I get that. And I definitely extend grace. But if you are, so emotionally not able to function, then you need, you need some other type of help that I can't give.
How do you manage a healthy work-life balance?
It's tough. It's really tough. Sometimes these cases.
It seems like with all of that going on, even when you leave work, because you hear all the emotions, you take that with you outside of work.
Yeah.
How do you maintain that?
So when I first started practicing family law, I didn't know how to do that, And then the more seasoned I got, I just had to tell myself, like, these people are hiring me to fix situations.
One more question. How long have you been practicing your own firm?
So I got licensed in 2015, and I opened my firm in 2017.
Got you. Okay, continue.
So when I was really green, I didn't know how to like cut it off, And then the more seasoned I got, the more I realized, like, hey, these people are hiring you to fix situations that you didn't create. You didn't create these problems for these people. When you met them, they already had these problems. So it's not fair for you to take on problems you didn't create. Then I just slowly was like, okay, this is work and this is my life. It came in with time.
Seems easier said than done.
Yeah, it took some time to get here. Yeah. And even now I still have cases that mentally, I leave the office, I go home, I'm still thinking about them because, these are people's lives, their children, their homes, their assets, you know. So it's kind of hard not to.
Seems like you have huge responsibilities. You don't feel that way?
I do. It's overwhelming sometimes.
How do you manage that?
Because I know God won't give me anything I can't handle. So if God has allowed these clients to walk through my door or to hire me, then he must think I got it. So I feel like, okay, he won't put anything on me that I can't handle. So
no better way to say that.
Yeah, so I got it.
You have a therapist?
I used to have a therapist, yes. Mm-hmm.
You used to? Not no more?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm asking, because like as you're telling me all these stories, I'm like, this is a lot on someone. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to see a therapist to help them navigate this stuff.
Yes, and I think in the Black community, like therapy is like so taboo. You know, Black men don't want to go to therapy. So therapy, and I tell all my clients too, therapy is not, you know, you don't have to like be diagnosed with depression or anything like that. Sometimes you just need a neutral third party who has, you know, the skills and the educational level to give you tools to process information. Sometimes things are happening in your life and you just don't know how to process it. Then there are people who don't want to confide in friends and family because, you know, they're judgmental. You don't want your business everywhere. You want to stand on your own feet and navigate things. And sometimes having a therapist is just that. Just a person to talk to.
Got you. Mm-hmm. If I'm going through a situation, a family case, right? Mm-hmm. And I have two lawyers to choose from. Mm-hmm. Her and you. Why would I want to come to you?
Because I'm going to give it 100%. I'm going to be authentic with you. I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to try my best to get you the results that you want. Now, other lawyers will probably say that, or, you know, they market themselves, and, you know, that's great. But for me, I pride myself in always, like I said, showing up as Sharlene. And when you meet me and when you talk to me, you're going to realize that, okay, she's not taking this lightly. She's not going to sleep on my case. She's not going to, you know, she's actually going to do what I pay her to do. And I want to get to a point where when my name is on a pleading or on a document and people get it and they see Sharlene Poyser, the Poyser Law Firm, they're like, oh, hell, okay. let me see what I'm going to do with this, because she's not going to stop, right. You know? So that's always my goal. And once my name is on something, once I'm representing someone, then it's like, okay, here we go. It's game time.
Game time. Mm-hmm. No time to play. Mm-mm. Are you in any way inspired by Viola Davis?
I like Viola. I don't know in what sphere I should be, you know, inspired by her. I think it's great that she's made such a name for herself in an industry that, you know, doesn't typically recognize Black women for, you know, doing things.
The reason I'm asking this is because I just recently read her book, and like a lot of the things that you're saying right now were like just confidence. Just reminded me of some of the stuff she was saying, like along her journey as well. That's why I asked that. You kind of gave me that that vibe.
So people don't understand. It's difficult being a person of color, right? We know that in America. But you and I are from an island where we did not grow up with those challenges, right? But it's even more difficult being a woman of color, okay? We are judged. If we have a strong personality, then it's like, oh, she's an angry Black woman. We always have to show up twice as prepared, twice as, you know, well put together. We don't get the grace that's extended to other races. And those are just facts, right? I'm not making this up. I'm not pulling the race card. It just is what it is. We have to have a Crown Act to tell us that it's okay to wear our hair in a way that we want to wear our hair. And so I think for me, I always function with that in the back of my head. You know, only 2-3% of attorneys are Black women. So,
really?
It's a very, very low percentage. Yes. So, you know, I always function thinking, okay, Sharlene, you got to be twice as fly, twice as prepared. You can't go to court looking any old kind of way, and you definitely can't show up not knowing what to do. And that, you know, that's part of how I function, just knowing like the standard is just not the same.
It's not.
No, it's not the same.
Because of that, you got to show up twice as prepared and twice as fly.
Twice as fly.
Got you. Now let's dig into the business structure a little bit. Let's dig into this. So how do you market yourself?
So, I mean, this is this is not good, but I'm not like a big social media person. I've built my firm, and this is going to be so weird, just off of referrals, just off of the work that I've done. One person tells a person, and that is just how business keeps coming through the doors. My colleagues, my friends, other clients. I've had judges. I've had,
You have judges referred? Mm-hmm. They can do that?
Not family court judges. Just other people that are, there are judges in different courts. Yes.
Got you.
Mm-hmm. I've had opposing counsels refer me clients, which was the first time it happened. I was like, oh my God, I thought this guy hated me, but turns out, probably just respected my hustle and what I did from my clients. So I need to work on marketing myself. And I said my next thing was I was going to get some billboards. But honestly, I have a steady stream of cases, and my docket is I'm pleased with it. But yeah, it's just referrals, just doing good work.
How many employees you have?
Well, I have 2 contract paralegals. I have a contract attorney, and I have 1 consultant.
So that's 3 or that's 2?
It's 3.
3.
Mm-hmm. 2 contract paralegals, a contract attorney.
What do they do?
So they help me in like file preparation, talking to clients, putting together things, discovery, things like that. And then my contract attorney, of course, I'm just one person. So if I have a hearing in Brazoria and a hearing in Harris, I can't be 2 places at once, so I'll send them. And my consultant helps me with like civil cases if I'm not able to, get to pleadings or to draft things, or I'll tell her what I need and she cranks it out.
Got you. Mm-hmm. Got you. And that's how it runs.
That's how it runs. Yes, I definitely have a support staff.
Got you. So if a client comes in, who do they speak to first?
Okay, so when you call the Poyser Law Firm, you'll, get greeted by reception. Then they will connect me and tell me who's on the phone. And then, if I'm able to take the call, then I'll talk to the clients myself. And I feel like when that potential client is able to speak to the attorney like that, they're halfway sold. And I always wanted to have a business where people can reach me. I didn't want it to be like, oh, make an appointment, come in, go through the questionnaire with a paralegal, never talk to the attorney. Like, no, the Poyser Law Firm does not operate like that. I'm one-on-one with my clients.
But at some point it will be.
I don't want to lose that. And it's getting to the point where that's very difficult. So now I've opened up Saturday hours to meet with potential new clients to, because sometimes during the week I'm busy, right? But I always try to call them back. I always try to, if they can't get here, I'll set up like a Zoom consultation with them. I'll set up a Saturday, or if they're available after hours, I'll call them 7, 8 o'clock at night. It just depends. I'll do what it takes to talk to them.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
How do you structure the payments for your employees?
So the attorney is on billable hours. So, there's an hourly rate that they bill, and at the end of the week, whatever work they've done for me, they submit their billable hours. The paralegals are paid hourly, and my consultant is paid per case.
Paid per case.
Mm-hmm.
Why per case and not hourly?
Because she wanted it that way for some reason. Yeah.
So it's just a matter of choice.
That's just how she wanted it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it one of those things where if we win the case, you get this, or if not? Because
No.
I've seen like stuff be like, oh, we only get paid when we win.
Those are contingency cases. Those are more like personal injury. These cases are, I don't handle any contingency cases.
Got you. Okay. What's one piece of advice you have for someone that may want to get in this industry? They've been thinking about becoming a lawyer. It's on their mind. They think about going to law school, but they just can't find the nerve to just go up and get it done.
So law school it's not easy, right? We're just going to call a spade a spade. The bar is hard. It's 3 days of testing. So what law school will do, it will test your stamina, your endurance, your ability to think, and how bad do you want this? Because if law school wasn't bad enough, then you got to study for the bar. Then you got to sit for the bar. Then you have to wait for the bar results. Then you have to practice law. And it never ends. It's a continuous cycle of learning. It's called the practice of law for a reason. If it's just one of those things like anything else. It's how bad do you want it? When you want something and you are called to do it, even if you fight it, you take the long way, you take twists and turns, you're going to end up there. You're going to, if it is your calling and you want it bad enough, you're going to leap. And I would tell people, like there's this thing that Steve Harvey said a few years ago. He was talking about having an old car in his driveway. Do you remember when he said that?
Yeah.
And you can't get somewhere new until you move the old car out the way. And that's kind of how I look at it. Like, if you want to be an attorney, it's hard, but the reward is greater than the difficulty involved in getting there, right?
The reward is greater than the difficulty it takes to get there.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's my next Instagram caption.
The reward is greater. You have the ability to determine your worth. You have that ability. You have the ability to create a lifestyle, set up a business that's going to pay you what you're worth. Right? So the reward is far greater than the sweat equity it takes to get there, But nothing in life that's that good is that easy. If it's easy, everyone would do it. Everyone would be a lawyer, But
right.
It's not easy, but it's doable. It's doable. And anything that you believe in, that you put your effort into, it's all doable. It's mental. It's what you tell yourself.
It's all what you tell yourself.
It's how you talk to yourself. How do you talk to yourself?
Oh, I see your mama coming out now.
Yeah. How do you talk to yourself? What do you say about yourself? People be so quick to down other people. That's great that you have an opinion about all these people, but what is your opinion of yourself? Because your opinion of yourself is going to determine how you see other people. Right? Do you think you're worthy? Do you think greatness is within you? Do you think you're capable? Do you even like yourself? Those are questions that you really, what are you telling yourself? If you wake up every day and say, I got this, you know what's going to happen?
You're going to get it.
You're going to get it. If you wake up every day and you're like, oh my God, this is so hard. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Shut up.
It's going to just keep being hard.
Shut up. Shut up. I worked for this guy years ago named Steven Stoll at a title agency when I lived in Florida. I was super young. And he always used to say, don't think, just do. And I've just, stop thinking. You thinking yourself out of it. You talking yourself out of it. Stop getting 50 different opinions. Hey, man, I have this idea. What do you think? Who cares?
Right.
Who cares? What do you think? Your opinion is the only one that matters. Do you think you can do it? Is it because you don't think you can do it? Why you need people to boost you up? So many people need people to boost them up, and everything you need is within you.
You need validation.
Yeah, it's inside of you.
The fact that you got that idea is enough to tell you, hey, I could do it.
Look at what you're doing today. That just talking to me, you've set up a platform where you're able to come and do this. You have that in you. That's great. I respect that, So it's all within you. What do you tell yourself? You obviously told yourself, I can do this.
I sure did.
Exactly. And you sitting here
today.
looking me square in my eyes. Yeah.
Right.
So I can tell your power is within you. You have to be careful of people that get their power from outside of them. That's the biggest red flag.
Oh, hey, you're
That's
getting deep now. You're getting deep.
Because it's bigger than the practice of law.
Be careful of the people that get power from the outside of them.
Yeah, that's real. Because they crave that.
How do you differentiate the difference? How do you know the people that's getting the power from the outside and from the people that's getting the power from the inside?
The ones that constantly need validation, the ones that post a bunch of stuff on social media and you know them in real life, the ones that front, the ones that do not walk in their authentic self because they want to create an illusion of who they are. Sometimes it just starts with accepting where you are. Just accepting where you are. Where are you right now? Okay, I'm here. This is not where I want to be, but you know what? I have it within me to do better. And every day I'm going to take a little step towards that goal. What do I need to do? Okay. Am I spending time with people that's bringing me down? Is my friend circle fake? When I walk away, do they talk about me and do I know this? Am I involved in too much petty stuff? Do I need an outlet? Maybe I need to go to the gym. If you don't feel good about, how you look or, you think that's holding you back, what can you do? Go take a walk, go to the gym, whatever. Like, what are you doing to advance yourself? And the people that you can tell when people have not had those hard conversations with themselves, they're critical of other people. They create false narratives and they crave attention. They have to be seen. They have to be heard. They need people to constantly validate them. That's dangerous.
Super dangerous.
That's dangerous. Your energy, I don't want that around me. That's not good energy.
It's not.
No.
It's really not. It can really drain you.
It's draining. It's draining. And those are the people that you have to have very firm boundaries with. Like, you're not going to come over here and contaminate what I got going on. You know?
You just said that so beautifully.
Really?
You did.
Thank you.
It makes total sense. It makes total sense. Let's say that now they finished bar school.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they finished getting a law degree.
Yes.
And now, you know what? Let's say they have worked at a law firm, and now they want to go and open up their own practice. Because I heard you say building a business, and it dawned on me that, okay, what are some actionable steps that you would give someone that, okay, now they're looking to build out their own business? Like, give that young lady or that young man that's just finished, they were where you were at, were working for somebody else, and now they want to build out their own. What are some actionable steps they could take towards that?
Well, first, figure out what area of law you want to practice and get a mentor. Okay? Mentorship is important. It's important that you have someone that has gone ahead of you. That's not gatekeeping, because, you know, sometimes people tend to have like this crab in a barrel mentality where they gatekeep. I don't want to tell her. I don't want, you know, I'm not like that. You can help. You can call me for help. You can ask me any question, because I know for a fact that what God has for me is for me. And me sharing with you is not going to somehow take away from what is for me. No. In fact, it multiplies what I have.
100%.
Right? And I hate people that are like that. But if you can find a good mentor, that's the first step, right? Because you're young, you're green, you don't really know which way to go.
What's your definition of a good mentor?
Someone that will not gatekeep, someone that will be honest with you, someone that is okay with giving their time. And there are people out there, plenty people out there like that. But first, you have to figure out what area of law you want to go into.
Super important.
Super important, right? Then you find a mentor that can help you in that area. Then you do things like you get your business cards, you know, you set up a website, or you know, get a satellite office. I'm just giving you the steps that I use, because that really helped me, you know, go to networking events and give out my business card. Oh, I'm a family lawyer. Or tell my friends, this is what I'm doing now. And, you know, I think another important step is don't get discouraged, because as an entrepreneur, you know, you have good months, great months, and some not so great months. So in the moments when it's not so great, just keep going.
What's a great month for you?
Great month for me? Ooh, Lord, you really want me to talk about numbers, huh?
What's a great month for you?
A great month for me.
You know what? I know that you separate business from yourself.
Yes, I do.
So I don't want to know what's a great month for you. What's a great number? What's a great month for the business?
For the business. Anything that comes close to 6 figures is a great month.
Woo.
That's a great month.
6-figure month.
That's a great month. Yeah.
Let's go.
But yeah, don't give up. We all have had those moments where you're like, Jesus, you know? And one thing that me and my friend always talk about is how much God is our source. God is our source. So I think for me, people always ask me all the time, how'd you get your business up and running? What'd you do? And I tell them just like I'm telling you now. And then I say, you know, I just put my trust in God. I remember me, my mom, and my daughter used to hold hands and have a prayer circle. And we used to just pray for prosperity for the Poyser Law Firm. And I still do that to this day. Prayer.
You sound like my mom now. She be telling me, it's power on is what she said. It's power on the knees.
Yes, when prayers go up, blessings come down. When you ask God for what you want, and you stay steadfast, and God likes big prayers. You know, so if you're gonna pray for something, don't pray for something small. Pray for Him. Take the limits off of Him. And I do that all the time. I'll set my intention for the week. Let's just start a number. God, I want to make $50,000 this week. I come in here, I write it down, and I pray, and I slowly, every day I work towards it. God, where's my $50,000? I know it's coming. Come on, God. Then slowly you see this case comes in. That retainer gets paid. And then by the end of the week, you're like, Jesus, you did it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So after you said, don't get discouraged.
Don't get discouraged.
We're going to wrap it up right here in a minute.
Sure.
But I just wanted to know, like building it out. Let's go from like finding a building, spaces, like, let's
So
talk
you-
about all of that.
So when you start off, you want your overhead low. Right. So I started with a little satellite space. Then when I got more clients, I office shared. And I office shared for, I can't remember, maybe 2-3 years. And, you know, it's just at the rate that your business is growing. Right. That's your gauge. Because you don't want to have a fancy office, overhead, and then you don't have the business.
To support that.
Yeah, because you're going to end up not being able to save. There's no profit for the business. That's too much, right? So as my business grew, then that's how my space grew. So I got comfortable, built up my clients, built up the firm, and then that's when I decided, okay, I need my own space. I picked this location because, you know, obviously it's a few blocks away from the courthouse. I like being in the downtown area, and, you know, my business can afford this kind of space. So I think it's what kind of numbers are you doing?
Got you.
Yeah.
What's your monthly overhead?
Oh. My monthly overhead is pretty high. I will say that my monthly overhead is 5 figures.
And where does most of that come from?
What do you mean? The overhead?
Yes.
You're talking about like my personal and the business, or just the business?
Just the business.
Oh, so there's obviously rent, there's parking, there's billing software, there's malpractice insurance, there is...
You have to have practice insurance?
Malpractice insurance, yes.
What is that?
So it's insurance that you have as an attorney in the event that there's any malpractice, you know, causes of action or suits against you to protect you.
Like, just give me a quick example.
Like if you messed up someone's case, you were negligent. So you have the insurance in the same way that you have car insurance in the event that you get in a car wreck.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I never knew that.
Yeah. So doctors have malpractice insurance too, because they get sued all the time, you know. Wrongful death lawsuits, you know, they operated on someone, the person died, it's the same thing. So there's malpractice insurance, there's, you know, softwares that you use, there's the staff, there's, you know, so many different things to keep the business going. There's the cable, the internet, the this, you know, everything.
Got you. Okay. I'm just asking the questions for
That
the
other
people that
people
want to
wanna-
get.
yes.
They may want to get this thing started, but
Yes.
you know they don't know I need malpractice insurance, or they don't know
Yes.
this or that. So you know,
Yeah, then you know you have to pay your dues every year, your state bar dues every year. Like there are things involved. Yes.
Got you. Okay. Well, I feel like this was a well-rounded conversation.
Me too. You
And
forced me to think about things I would not normally think about.
Gotcha. Before we wrap it up, I want to give a shout out to my girl Fee, because without her, this wouldn't be possible.
I love her, and I'm going to tell you this. She is tenacious. She is hardworking. She's dedicated, and she, you know how her thing is flawless by Fee?
Right.
She's flawless, and I'll tell you, she is inspirational to me as well, because she's a good example of a woman who has gone out, has decided what they wanted to do, what she wants her life to look like, and she's just doing it.
She's doing it.
She's doing it. Flawless by Fee on the hair. But yeah, she's incredible. Thank you, Fee.
Yeah, so I met her through another lady, and I was talking to Fee, and I think I asked her, I said, do you have anybody else that you could refer to me that would be interested in getting on the podcast? She said, I got a few people for you. She just started sending them to me, sending them. And I reached out one by one, and you one of them that responded.
No.
So I want to take this time to tell you thank you for allowing me, you know, to get in here and pick your brain a little bit. And I want to send nothing but love, prosperity, more wins to you and your business.
I receive it.
Yes, ma'am. Before we get up out of here, one last question.
Sure.
I met this guy in Atlanta. I went down there for a networking event, and I stayed at his Airbnb, and I was telling him about my podcast, and he came back the next morning and gave me a sheet of paper with ideas that I could add to my podcast.
Nice.
And so this section is forever dedicated towards him.
Okay.
And one of the questions that stuck out to me was, the world is listening. If there's one piece of advice you can give to humanity, what would it be?
Stay true to yourself. Stay true to yourself. I feel like people get into trouble when they don't know who they are, or they're searching or trying to be something they're not. Stay true to yourself, and I promise you, you will attract everything that is meant for you.
And how do you find out who you are?
It takes being really honest. Being honest with yourself, speaking kind words to yourself. Like I always say, what are you telling yourself? You know, stay true to who you are. And you know what you like, you know what you don't like, you know what you're forcing, you know what you have in you, you know what you're geared. Like I couldn't be a doctor. I hate blood. You know, so why would I try to force myself in that lane? Or there are people that are doing things every day that make them so unhappy. Life is too short. Stay true to yourself. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid. Put yourself first. Try to find something you enjoy. Be true to yourself.
Like, you couldn't close it out no better than that.
Oh, thank you.
The Poyser Law Firm, thank you for your time.
Yes, it was a
Yes,
pleasure.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's it.
Done?
Yes, ma'am.
You're really good at interviewing people. I pray your business goes very far.
It will.
You did. It will. What are you saying to yourself? See?
It will.
You telling yourself
sure
it will.